Yeah, my name is Juan Sasturain. I was born in Spain and I grew up in Germany, so my accent will be quite German when I speak English, but you will get the translation anyway. I'm going to talk today about closed transfer systems. And you may have heard that CropLife Europe made a commitment in 2020 that by 2030 we want to make closed transfer systems available to 100% of the European farmers. So the first challenge is to define closed transfer systems, and we rely on the ISO standard 21191 that defines what a closed transfer system is, and the key aspects are the maximum residue in the rinsed containers, the fact that there is no leakage during transfer and rinsing, and also the maximum residue on the outer parts that people could touch. Now the scope of this standard is it excludes solids because there's no good closed transfer system for solids on the market. It also excludes liquids, packages lower than 1 liter. It equally excludes packages larger than 20 liters because they have a different technology. There is a separate ISO standard in preparation for these larger packages. So the scope right now is just liquid products in containers between 1 and 20 liters. Now some explanation on the physical principles of closed transfer systems. The early generation relied on gravity. So gravity was driving force, and this meant that all these systems had to be placed on top of the tank so that the liquid could go directly from the container into the tank. If you want to be independent from the tank, you could use pressure. Most pressurized systems work with a dip tube that you see there. The limitation is the pressure that you can apply on the container. The maximum pressure is 1 bar. They are not authorized to more than that. And then my personal preference is suction as the driving force, because if there is any leakage during the extract, you will be sucking in air, while if you have pressure and there is a leakage, it will be spraying out liquid. So suction, from my point of view, is the preferred technology. Then the second grouping is by foil seal adapters as opposed to pre-fitted caps. So what you see here is, these are all working with foil seals. Then we have the easy flow system, mainly promoted by Bayer, that can handle pre-fitted caps and foil seals. And then now we have 3 systems for Easy Connect for the pre-fitted cap, and I will show later on one of them so that you see how it works. Most of you are probably very familiar with sprayers, but I still would like to explain the basic principles. Every sprayer has a pump. This pump is needed to take the liquid out of the spray tank into the spray nozzles. And now, if you activate this 3-way valve, you can run the liquid in a closed circuit, and it will go through the venturi valve, which will create a suction here. Now, if you add an induction bowl, then you can incorporate the liquid into the sprayer without having to put it through the top of the tank. And this is what we're using for closed transfer. We are attaching the line of the closed transfer. Then, if we turn it, we can link the suction line of the transfer system and transfer the liquid from the container directly without any contact into the spray tank. And if you order a new sprayer that comes CTS ready, this is what you will get. You will get a sprayer with all these valves and a so-called dry coupler where you can attach a sprayer. So this is CTS ready. Now, the two systems that are supported by our industry, one is Easy Connect. This is the example that I'm going to show. All the CropLife members support it, plus another 6 that are not members of CropLife. And then there is the other system, EasyFlow-M, that is also supported by Bayer and Sumiagro. You can look at the details up in the respective websites. Now, CropLife Europe sponsored a operator exposure study, because it's one thing to say it is safer, but we need data for that. So in between 2021 and 2023, we ran that study. It is a GLP study, so good laboratory practice, so it's fully acceptable for regulatory authorities. And we compared the residues that we saw on the operators with the predictions from the AOAM, the Agricultural Operator Exposure Model. Now, the residues that we measure were the residues on the outer dosimeter, which is basically a jumpsuit, and then also the residues on the long underwear, on the hand washes, and on face wipes. Everything together is what we call potential exposure, and just what we have on the underwear and the hand washes is what is considered actual exposure. For our study, the most relevant value is actually the potential exposure, because this is what we are reducing. We had 2 side questions during that study. One was, is there a difference whether we have products with a high volume or products with a low volume? And we also wanted to see if there is a difference if we have big sprayers or small sprayers. Because with small sprayers, you have to do more partial dosings, more connections and disconnections. Big sprayers are easier to fill. And I can already say now, there's no difference between large volume, low volume, large sprayers, small sprayers. We have the same exposure reduction on all these cases. We tested 3 different systems, and these were the 3 that were also used to develop the ISO standard. So they represent 3 technical principles. One is the pre-fitted cap, like we see here. The other 2 work with an adapter. One is upside down, and the other one is standing up. And we also wanted to cover different European agricultural practices. So we had 3 operators in Spain, 3 in France, 3 in Germany, and 3 in the Netherlands. Spain and the Netherlands had small sprayers, and France and Germany had the larger sprayers. And what you see down there is the number of containers that each operator had to empty into each of the 3 systems. And we had different chemicals. In the blue one, we had sorbitol, and the other brownish one, we had xylitol. Both are sweeteners, so that we could dispose of the liquid later on easily. And we can differentiate on analytics between the 2. Of course, always, if you do such a study, things go wrong. In this case, we had our containers prepared by a toller, and the toller did not screw everything completely tight. And then, while we were rinsing, one of the operators on one of the containers turned it counterclockwise and unscrewed the cap from the container. And then what you see is droplets here and there. So if you want, it's the worst case. You detach the closed transfer system from the system. There are reasons why that happened, and there are mitigation measures to avoid that. But what I would like to show you is the result. So on the left-hand side, you see the prediction. 95th percentile of the AOM, the 75th centile, and here you see all the results. This is all goat throat, one of the three closed transfer systems, and this here is a mix of easy connect and easy flow. And you see this is where the mistake, the error happened. So we see a very clear effect, but it does not go above any of the normal exposure that you would expect while pouring. I have enlarged this a bit. Now this is only 1/10 of the prediction. I would like you to focus on the gloves. This is the blue, and the orange, the outer dosimeters. In reality, this is more than 90% of the exposure that we see, but the prediction would predict that we would see more on the underwear, which we did not. So this is just due to the amount that we saw is so small that it did not penetrate the outer layer. So we didn't see a lot in the underwear. And what's also important to notice is this was 1/10 of the prediction. What we actually saw here, the red line, is 1/10 of 1/10, so it's a 99% exposure reduction in the acute scenario. And on the 75th centile, which is the value that the regulatory authorities take for chronic exposure, we have a 98.5% exposure reduction, while goat throat does not reach the 90% value in both cases. 90% exposure reduction was kind of our target that we wanted to reach. So we have to conclude that goat throat reaches an exposure reduction between 70 and 90%, which is good, but not really good enough for us. We want to reach the more than 90% exposure reduction, closer to 99%. And this is where we are with Easy Connect and Easy Flow. Now, this was operator exposure. Another important reason to use closed transfer systems is also to reduce the exposure to the environment, to reduce splashes that would contaminate surface water or groundwater. So we have here two studies, one with the blue dye in the center and the other one with the fluorescent dye. And you see quite clearly that if you are doing a manual pouring, you will have rundown of liquid here down the bottle. You will have splashes on the soil, and using a closed transfer, in this case it was Easy Connect, there's no contamination on the outside of the bottle and no contamination on the soil. And the same we got with the blue dye. And if you have the time and want to look, you can see the differences between orchard sprayers, where we are filling from the top. We are already getting an exposure reduction with the induction hopper, and then with the closed transfer system we get, again, a very significant exposure reduction compared to manual pouring. This is environmental related exposure. Now, this is a busy slide, but it's not so complicated either. The lower part is the regulatory part. So we as a chemical industry want to get some regulatory benefit from the exposure reduction. And this will come from EFSA, because EFSA is working on a new operator exposure model that is expected to be in place in 2028. So what we did this exposure study, we submitted it to EFSA in 2023, and now we are waiting for this to be accepted as a risk mitigation factor. In parallel, the upper level is how we are trying to introduce closed transfer into the market. Because even if EFSA acknowledges that we have an exposure reduction, if we don't have closed transfer in the market, it won't be accepted as mitigation measure. So we're working on both sides at the same time. And for that, we started in 2021 with some pilots in Netherlands and Denmark, because these countries were, from their legislation, mostly interested. And then we expanded our pilot countries. And now, in 2024, we are in the commercial mode. We have commercial tools, we have commercial caps. And now we are no longer working country by country. We are moving complete product lines from normal caps to closed transfer. And this is the reason why here in Lithuania you will be seeing, latest from next year on, containers with such caps coming into the market, because we are changing them for all Europe simultaneously. What is also interesting is this EU compendium that you see there. We did the study, and then we published the study here in January 2024. And in March 2024, only 3 months after, we got this document from the EU Commission, where you already see on page 9 that closed transfer systems are considered for risk mitigation for horizontal and vertical crops, for operator exposure and runoff reduction, and also with more than 90% exposure reduction. Now, the final sentence there, not for the moment, just to avoid misunderstandings, it cannot be used for risk mitigation calculations now, because the risk mitigation model is still in preparation. So it will be available 2028. So before 2028, we cannot use this. This does not mean that EFSA didn't like the study. It just means they're still working on the model. Now, one thing is legislation, and the second one is subsidies. So even without legislation in place, 2 countries, the UK and France, are already paying subsidies to farmers. UK, you can look it up in their website, are paying a 60% subsidy for closed transfer systems, and I couldn't find the French site, but they are paying roughly 1,000 euros subsidy per system. Then there is another source of subsidies, and this is other interested parties, like, for example, water companies. They want to make sure that their water sources stay clean, so they pay farmers for mitigation measures to reduce surface water and groundwater exposure. And one of them is closed transfer. So in Germany, in the UK, you will also get some subsidies from water companies. And this is the last slide. If you want to have more information, there is a website, easyconnect.tech, T-E-C-H, where you can look up the principles of EasyConnect specifically. And this this website is currently being translated into 27 European languages. So soon it will also be available in your language and for your country, because we will make reference also to where you could buy equipment in the respective country, and we will also make reference to container recycling schemes that accept this cap, because already in Germany and France you can leave the cap on the container because it has been cleaned, rinsed together with the container, while now you have to take it off and the cap is recycled separately. Actually, the cap is not recycled, the cap is burned because it cannot be rinsed. So with this EasyConnect cap, we are increasing the recycling rate because we are now including the cap into the recycling procedure. And that is it. So if you have any questions, I will demonstrate the system afterwards, but any questions right now, I'm happy to take them.
I think we need some water.
Thank you. Second.
Do you have any questions? Ar turite kažkokių klausimų?
Kiek kainuoja ta sistema? Aš norėjau paklausti, kiek kainuoja ta sistema?
Well, you have seen that there are 3 systems. One is already in the market, this, and 2 are in preparation. The sales price or the list price of this is between 3,000 and 3,800 euros. The other systems that I showed are fully automated. They have a display. You can punch in the amount of liquid that you want to have, and the system will do everything automatically. This is a fully manual system. So the fully automated systems will also be in a range of 3,500 euros. This is what the manufacturers have told us. So it's not really cheap, but it's also not, but it should be affordable. It is good new technology, has its price.
Any other questions? Dar kažkokių klausimų? Gal kažkas domina, ką papasakoti?
Kai ūkininkai nuperka naujus purkštuvus, tų įrenginių dabar dar nėra. Purkštuvas kainuoja 280 tūkstančių.
Yes, that is. Well, this is something you will have to negotiate with the sprayer manufacturer. What we're seeing right now is you can choose between 2 options. You can buy Easy Connect ready. This is what I explained to you. You can connect it, and then I don't think this will be extremely expensive. It's just something to tick. If you want to buy it with the coupler, I know of a couple of sprayer manufacturers that are already preparing the sprayers to deliver. It will be one extra like any other extra that you order with the coupler. And I think it will be similar to the airbag system in the car. When they started, you had to buy it extra, and now it kind of comes with the car. But in the beginning, you will have to order extra.
Norėčiau paklausti, jūs kalbėjote apie EXO studiją ir apie kūriamą modelį. Tai kai šitą procedūrą pasibaigs, ar yra tikimybė, kad ta sistema taps privaloma?
We are seeing that these systems are becoming mandatory in the Netherlands. So this will very much depend on the regulatory authorities. We already heard from France and Germany that they have no intention of making it mandatory, but this will very much depend on the predisposition of each regulatory authority.
I also have one question. So actually you mentioned that the app will be available in the different languages, yeah? So in Lithuania, what is the plan? For our Lithuanian members to use your app in Lithuanian language, what's the plan?
Well, it's not an app, it's a website. So the website will just be available, and the closed transfer systems, there are always 2 parts of it. One is the part that we as a chemical industry deliver. This is what comes with the container, and I just explained that this will increase. And the second is the device that you need to connect to it, and this is the dealer network that needs to be built up. There is currently one dealer, as far as I know, for the pent air system, and I've been told it's maybe not the most reliable one. So this is something that needs to develop. And the other two systems are based on Easy Connect will be Lechla and Tefen, and then the AgroTop system, they will have their own dealer network.
Labadiena, norėčiau paklausti du klausimus. Jūs minėjot, kad sumažinama aplinkos tarša, tai kokį procentą sudaro tas purkštuvų užpildymas ir kokiu procentaliai kiek sumažėja aplinkos vandens tarša gramofas, būtent kiek sumažėja?
Yeah, I could go back to the presentation. It's roughly a factor of 100, but we only have 2 studies. So we lack right now the statistical evidence for that. But it is in the same range as the operator exposure reduction. It's quite to the end. There. So if you compare 645 to 3, then it is a factor of, well, you tell me, 300. Well, this is easier. 120 to 1 essentially is a factor of 100. This is a factor of much more than 100. But again, it's only 2 studies. It is not the statistical evidence that our regulatory authorities would usually request, and these are not GLP studies.
Ir dar vienas klausimas, ar tai bus kaip rizikos mažinimo priemonė, kaip jūs minėjote Exos studija, tai bus šita closed system bus kaip rizikos mažinimo priemonė naudojama rizikos vertinimo?
We do hope so, and the first indication that we may be successful is this compendium, because we submitted the study to EFSA. If EFSA would have rejected it, it would never have appeared in this compendium. So this is a compendium of risk mitigation measures. It's just that it is not yet clear if we will be able to benefit from it in the risk assessment process of EFSA. But yes, the idea is risk mitigation with a factor of more than 90% for operators and environment.
Turite dar kitų klausimų?
Jūs kalbėjote apie tai, kad yra 2 sistemos kol kas rinkoje ir vis dėlto, jeigu tai taptų privaloma naudoti ūkininkams ir taip toliau, ar tai reiškia, kad viskas pereitų prie vienos sistemos, ar purkštuvo pirkėjas, tarkim, jeigu norėtų susimontuoti purkštuvą, jisai turėtų nuspręsti, kokią sistemą montuoti? Kokią ateitį matot?
That is a tricky question. In the end, the farmer will choose, because the farmer will tell the sprayer manufacturer what he or she wants. So my understanding is that sprayer manufacturers right now are able and willing to include whatever system is requested. Well, yeah, it's 2 principles. In total, it's 4 systems. So we have 3 systems that work directly with the Easy Connect cap, and we have 1 system that would interact with the foil seal. So one of these 4 are probably the preferred solutions for farmers, and it will depend very much on the members of CropLife Europe if in the end we agree on only 1 system or not. this is not yet finalized. I mean, you have seen the number of supporters of one system and one company also supporting the other one. So that company eventually will have to make a decision whether they still continue supporting both or they move into one direction. But this is a company decision.
Ar dirbate su purkštuvų gamintojais, su kompanijom, kad iš karto būtų integruoti tie įrenginiai?
Yes, actually we as crop protection companies, we are in contact with the sprayer manufacturers, but even more so are the producers of the closed transfer system. As far as I know, companies like Horsch, Amazon, Berthu, all the bigger sprayer manufacturers are already prepared to deliver CTS ready sprayers. And I've seen, for example, on the last Agritechnica, a sprayer from Kverneland, that they had already modified their induction bowl area to fit in a closed transfer system. So yes, we are in contact and the CTS manufacturers are in contact. And as this is new technology, this is very attractive to sprayer manufacturers because they like to introduce new technology. So I have no doubt that sprayer manufacturers will offer this. At what price? I don't know.
Okay, then I think that's it.
Then I would go, for those who have an interest, and do a demonstration on this system. It will be Easy Connect today only because we don't have an Easy Flow system here. And I was sent here to present that. I could have presented Easy Flow as well, but we don't have it. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Juan. Visgi, big applause for him. Prašom paploti mūsų svečiui. Ačiū labai, thank you very much for being here with us today. And of course, jeigu jūs norite susitikti su Juanu ir pakalbėti daugiau apie visas šitas sistemas, tai galite taip ir pademonstruoti. Dar pademonstruos be jokios abejonės. Demonstraciją mes netrukus ir keliausime. Will you comment what you're doing, or you just gonna present it and that's it?
I wanted to comment. Yeah?
You want? Okay. Maybe I will help you then.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. Okay, you still hear me? So first thing I need to do is I need to put on gloves because although we are reducing the operator exposure, we have not yet passed the risk assessment. So whatever personal protective equipment is requested on the label, you still need to obey. Thank you. Okay. So the first important thing is the closed transfer systems need to be manageable with gloves. Now the idea is the containers come pre-equipped with this cap already, and the first thing the operator, the farmer, does is click off this transport protection for the cap. So this is a dust cover and transport protection, and at the same time it's the tamper evidence, because once you open it, it's broken, so you know this has been opened before. Then the second thing that happens is you place the container on the cap, and this cap has a rim here outside. I don't know if you can see it. And if I move the lever, there is a claw that will grip this rim and hold the cap and pull it down. So if you have a very close look to the cap, you will see that I'm moving it downwards, upwards, as I move the lever. In this position, the cap is absolutely mechanically connected to the device, but it's still closed. Now, if I continue moving the lever around, then this plunger will come from the bottom, pick up the closure, the plug as we call it, and hold it. Now, the trick is that if we move it back, it will reclose. And then, in the end, you will have a closed cap again. So you can open and reclose several times the same container and take partial amounts out of it. And afterwards, it will still be leak tight. So we open it. The liquid will go out through here up. All this apparatus here you see around is my sprayer. We didn't want to bring a sprayer in. So this has all the features of a sprayer. It's a tank, it's a pump, it has a venturi valve inside, and it has a dry coupler. So this would be a ready-to-use sprayer for closed transfer systems. You would come with this connector and just connect, if you're strong enough. Thanks. And just connect to the dry coupler. Could you translate that? Oh, you were on the wrong channel. Oh, no problem. Now, when we're in this position, I'm in the wrong channel. Okay. Now, the liquid flows out here. It will flow out through this tube into the tank, and then the rinsing water would be operated here, and then rinsing water will come out from this side and that side, so that you're rinsing the inside of the container. The rinsing water will also flow into the tank, and you will have to turn the container by 90 degrees because we have a 180-degree direction of the two rinsing nozzles. So to rinse the complete container, you have to turn it 90 degrees. And then after doing that, you will have to rinse again the outside of the cap, because that is not rinsed in this model with the inside. And I will start the pump. It will make a little bit of noise, but not too much. Now, in this position, the pump is running in circles. It's producing the suction. You see it here. And now if I rinse, you can't see it from here, but you see that if you look from here later on maybe, you see that it is rinsing the outside of the cap, and it is rinsing the transfer line as well. So after you've done, you take it off. It was very important to us that we wanted to reduce the exposure and the risk for operators, but we also wanted to make it easy and fast. We don't want the farmers to lose time, because if they lose time, they're not going to use the system. So I'm going to show you the speed of operation, and I'm going to do this with a 10-liter container.
Someone can come closer if you check.
Yeah, of course. You can all come closer. And if you can hold this now.
Agrovizija.
So now it's connected, and now I'm starting the complete emptying. And if you try to take the time, you will see that it is nearly the time that you would need if you just pour. So everything is now in the tank, and now I start the rinsing. And you see that the rinsing is mainly on these two sides. And I need to rotate the container after a while to have the complete rinsing. And after that is done, I'm reclosing the container. I'm rinsing now the outer part of the cap. And when I take it off, it's closed again. And if you want to put it now into recycling, you need to do this. You push it on a spike. This will push. It will push the plug in. The recycling company can look into the container and check if it's clean. And the recycling company can also compress the container to reduce the volume. These are the two requirements. So a farmer using Easy Connect never will have to remove the cap. It will just arrive, it will be connected, and it goes like that into recycling. And then the cap that usually would be incinerated gets also into the recycling process.
But isn't that in some countries it has to be washed before?
It has to be washed now because it's the cap. No, you don't. I don't know any country where you can wash the cap. It has to be delivered separately because caps cannot be washed, and then the caps are incinerated. We had to discuss with the German and the French recycling systems, and we had to provide data to show them that it is safe for them as a recycler to recycle the complete package. But Germany and France are already accepting it. We will have to go to each individual recycler in each country and have it confirmed. But it's the same material, so it's all high density polyethylene, the cap and the container. So it's an easy thing. Any other question?
Klausimų dar bus.
If I'd like to fill down on the field,
You can do it on the field, yes. Well, water. The water question is the same that you have with the normal sprayer. Usually the water to rinse the container comes from the spray tank. You either have a clean water tank or you take it from the spray broth. So this would be the same. You would branch into the rinsing water system of the induction bowl, that's the name. Or if you are filling on farm, you can also link it to the clean water pipe. Or if you are filling in on your field, and you have very large fields and very large sprayers, you usually also have a water tank. So you can take the water from the water tank and you can connect this closed transfer system to your water tank vehicle. So you would have it available there if you don't have it permanently installed on the sprayer yet. So these are the two options, either on farm or on the water tank, the two options that I've seen so far. And this is true for Easy Connect and also for the Easy Flow competition. This is same technology.
Ar dar būtų klausimų?
Do we have any more questions?
Prašom drąsiai.
Please go ahead.
Naudokitės progą.
Use this opportunity and ask questions.
Ar būtumėt suinteresuoti pristatyti aplinkos ministerijai šią idėją?
In the training.
Of course, we have been presenting it to whatever ministry shows interest.
It is the main ministry.
I must admit that we sent numerous invitations to today's event.
Yeah, well, we invited all the ministries also to visit our operator exposure study, and they did not find the time to come. But that doesn't mean that we wouldn't. No, we would. Anytime we're happy to send somebody over and to discuss it and to display it and in all details. No problem.